Is your club actively searching for new members? I'm so excited to announce that my new book, The Definitive Guide to Membership Marketing, is going to be available on March 31st, and we've just opened up the pre-order page this week. By going to privateclubradio.com/book, you can order your copy of the guide, get it at a special pre-order price, and get it before anyone else. You'll also get free shipping in addition to some other goodies. Visit privateclubradio.com/book to pre-order your copy today.
Welcome to Private Club Radio, your weekly source for industry education, news and discussion. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
What a game. Did you watch the Super Bowl? What a game it was. Just another lesson that you should never, ever, 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 ever give up. Wow. What a comeback from Tom Brady and the Patriots, coming back from 25 points down. Absolutely incredible. There's nothing I can even say that probably hasn't already been said other than wow. I guess there is one lesson there for me, though. If you notice, Atlanta got a little conservative when they were up by 25 points, and teams do that a lot. And I think lots of people do that a lot. Lots of businesses do that a lot. Lots of clubs do that a lot. When things are going good, they stand pat. They don't make progress. They don't move forward. They don't look into the future. They're just trying to keep the status quo. That's a scary place to be. I hope that's not you. We always need to be continually improving and expanding our offerings. That's what a healthy club does. We saw the dangers last night of taking a conservative approach, of standing pat. Don't let that be you. Little lesson there from the Super Bowl. Well, we have a fantastic guest for you today, and I'm going to bring him on right now. His name is Dominic Giarratano. He is the vice president and executive producer of Private Club Films, a video production company specializing in providing clubs with award-winning content to augment their internal and external communication efforts. Dom's background is rooted in golf. He's the son of a club pro and a documentary filmmaker, which allows him a unique perspective on club operations, member relations, and industry contacts, which have all helped to launch his business. Dom, welcome to Private Club Radio.
Hey, Gabe, how you doing, man?
Oh, it's great to have you. It's great to have you. And you're joining us from Golden, Colorado.
Yeah, the snowy Rockies as we're in late January here. So yeah, it's a great time to be here, and certainly like the change of the seasons. But yeah, we're in Colorado.
Are you a skier by any chance, Dom?
I think the short answer is yes. I think we've got some transportation issues here in the state with traffic and everything else. But
Sure.
It's a small price to pay. I think anyone that lives next to a tourist destination like that, I think you take the good with the bad, and if you can hop up on a Tuesday morning. It's a lot better than trying to get up there on a Saturday with everybody else. But yeah, I think I grew up doing it. I'm from Denver, born and raised. So it's something I certainly like doing.
That's awesome. That's actually one thing I've never done. I've always wanted to go skiing. I'm 36 years old now, so the time's running out. If I don't start now, I'm never going to get it done.
Well, come on out, man. We always could use more people on the hill.
Perfect. So first question for you, really simple one, Dom. Why video?
I think that's the $10,000 question, right? I think in marketing, and you can probably relate to this just with what you do with your company. I think we try to find the best ways to communicate with a desired audience. Video is certainly nothing new. Internet video isn't either, but it's the easiest way to communicate. It provides an emotional response to the people that are watching it, and it's entertaining. So in terms of comparing it to the others, text-based information, brochures, pictures, is a saying that goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words, then what's video? I think it's exponentially bigger than that. It can communicate better. It can concisely deliver a message, inform an audience. And like I said earlier, really make that connection with the person on the other end, be it on a mobile device and computer, anything. It's just it's the right way to do it in our eyes, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a very personal medium when it comes down to it. And I think that's why the social networks, you have Instagram and Twitter and Facebook really prioritizing video more than ever.
Well, it's the user generated experience, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that, I think, as we go through the program. But people want to tell their story, and they want others to know about them and what they have to offer from a personal or business standpoint. And it's communicating in the way that the general public and the target audience want to be communicated with. I think a lot of times in marketing or advertising or communications, I think we get stuck sort of not being able to see the forest through the trees, and thinking that what we have currently in house or what we've quote unquote done for years is the right way to do it. And, you go back to email communications and, constant contact and, how to send out specials and, as we're talking about from a club standpoint. But I mean, it's an easy way to do it through video. It's much more, obviously entertaining, as we mentioned, but it can jump off the page where an email or a text-based, brochure or picture certainly can't do.
Well, I like that you use the word storytelling there, because I was just writing that I was finishing up my book. A lot of the listeners know that I'm writing a book on membership marketing. And that was in one of the chapters that's what social media is all about. That's the only thing people are looking to do on there is to actually listen to a story and connect to a story. So I love that you mentioned that.
And I think that's an important distinction to make. We specialize, Private Club Films is a subsidiary of a larger marketing and advertising agency that's, been in business for 25 years. And I've been with that company for 12. PCF, or Private Club Films, is sort of division that I created a couple years ago, just specifically for private clubs, as the name would suggest. But I think what you try to find in any sort of vendor or partner or company that anyone's searching out to help them with the communication efforts, I think they have to understand the business, right? I think they have to have an understanding from a baseline perspective of how to speak the language and talk to people and relate with people and be able to tell that story, because in the private club world, Club A is very different than Club B, and they may be right across the street from each other.
Yeah.
So if you go from a standpoint of trying to tell that same message from a templated version or an approach, it doesn't play.
Yeah.
I think, in today's day and age, that becomes evident right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so from a storytelling perspective, I think that's really where we try to excel and differentiate ourselves in the market, to try to figure out what that story is and the best way to tell it.
Yeah, well said, Dom. Absolutely, I agree with that. What types of videos get people's attention online, Dom?
Short ones.
That's good.
That's the first question that people, what's the right length? I think, obviously you're communicating to a target audience, and you're not, there's two types of communications, right? It's a push or a pull tactic. It's not throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. I think within this sort of approach, it's highly targeted to a certain demographic that you're trying to reach or to communicate with, be it, internally with event updates or anything else, but or from an external standpoint of just trying to get somebody interested in the value you're trying to display. I think if you can, the first 10 seconds of any video is the most important. And I think you're either going to get them or you're going to lose them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, keeping that in mind, obviously, once you have them, and it's a different medium than someone that, is clicking and watching an advertisement. I'm not saying that by any means, because you certainly need to spend the time to tell someone what you're all about. But yeah, what the ideal length, I mean, you've got a finite time at that very beginning of the conversation or after they hit play to reach them, right? And to get them interested and entertained. So yeah, it's definitely a short amount of time for sure.
I equate that to the headline. If you're thinking about other types of media, the headline or the billboard that you got to get people's attention and get it right away. You're right on there. Now, in terms of content, Dom, what types of videos generally get a little bit more play or go viral or that sort of thing? What should you be doing, like drone video or personal testimonies? What types of videos really connect with people?
Well, it depends. It depends what the effort is. I think we generally break up our our service offerings or our menu, if you want to put it that way, into two different buckets. And I think that's either it's an internal play. And I don't mean internal in terms of communicating with your existing membership. What I mean is it's either an orientation video or a training perspective from your staff, because I think a lot of, and you've done episodes of this show in the past on best ways to deliver service, and you hear that all the time, is that you're serving the same people over and over and over again, and you have to continue to meet that high expectation. And how do you do that? And so I think what we've really started to do from an internal standpoint, from one of the segments of our audience, is communicate what Club A is trying to deliver, their style, their approach, their special sauce, if that's the easiest way to describe it, to an incoming or a new employee. The turnover rate, the seasonal nature of the business. I think there's an opportunity there for every club, no matter where you are, in a warm climate or one here in Denver where it's a compressed season, is to make sure that your employees know and sing out of that same hymnal together. And then that goes into the departmental training of, the best way to pour a cocktail, or the proper way to address a member when they pull their car up at the valet, how to deal with certain situations from an HR perspective, or a member that's, unhappy with an experience, or, there's so many touch points at every stage at a club. They're operating 10, 12, 15 different businesses. And your member, has 5 or 6 or 10 of those in 10 minutes when they walk into a club. And so, how do you ensure that that's being there? That's obviously one segment. And I think another one, what gets their most attention from drone videos or, testimonials. I think it's all of the above. We have an anthem video, which is the first thing someone should see, right? And I ask people all the time, a couple questions, right? Do you have a website? Obviously, in today's day and age, they say yes. And then the second one is, when was the last time it was updated? And that's where it started. The wheels start to move, and it's been a couple.
Some scary answers, yeah.
Well, yeah. It's that people don't think about it that way, and that's why I said I think you don't really see the forest through the trees. We're very busy, and I understand communication departments, and from the general managers on down, they have other things to worry about. But I think one thing to consider is, how is the club presenting itself to outsiders, right? And I know that that's maybe not something they think of right away, is that we need to please our membership. And, you hear that question, we don't need to market, our members have already bought our club, and, all those different things that you hear. But it's that constant month to month. What are they getting from the membership, right? And what's the value they're attaching to that dues dollar? Because everything and I don't need to tell your audience that, that's something they already know, is that there is a high priority placed upon being able to make sure that their experience is authentic and something that they're proud to bring other people to, be it guests or families or anything else. So, anthem videos, drone videos, and I know a lot of departments out there are starting to, buy their own and lift off. And that's another cautionary tale and something scary that I hear, because the rules and regulations and what you can and can't do, and are you insured, it certainly puts a lot of risk on that club, and certainly the management of that club, to make sure that they're doing things, on the up and up. And, it's never going to happen to me and my drone. Oh, it's got to wait. It comes and lands right where we take it off. And in a perfect world, but what happens if it doesn't?
Yeah.
So those are just some of the cautionary things that we talk about.
Technology breaks down all the time. In fact,
all the time.
I was working on a big file yesterday at work, me and my team, and a 130-page magazine that got corrupted, and it's gone. So it's you can't put your hope in technology.
No, but you meant, absolutely not. I think, and that's what we're trying to say, right? Is that we're using that medium. It's utilizing popular medium to tell a story where, otherwise, let's think about 30 years ago. How did somebody find out about a club? Well, they were either told about it by somebody they knew, or they moved to town and, looked it up in the phone book. I think that it's a different world, right? We're moving so fast.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's people's expectations on, the first place they go to is the website, right? Yeah. Do you have one? Yeah. When was the last time it was updated? Oh my, those are the sort of things that just in our world, from a communication standpoint, should be, definitely, it's my opinion, obviously, a higher priority than sometimes it's given.
I totally agree with you. I think it comes down to the squeaky wheel gets the grease type of thing, but it's very important. It should be top of mind. Now, once you've got a great video, Dom, what should you do with it? You've got this really engaging, powerful video that you've made about your club. What do you do with it?
I think sharing it in the right places. You mentioned earlier, is it viral or anywhere else? I think that's from a club's perspective, and certainly in this industry, I'm not sure that is a goal that many clubs should be aspiring to. Obviously you want people to know about your club, but it's private for a reason. So I think the way that we produce it, the categories that we produce it in, and the way that we tell the story, I think is sort of counter to that idea. It's not the person on YouTube, jumping on a pogo stick with their hair on fire that people go, it goes viral or whatever the video of the day is.
Right.
I think what it means to be and what it needs to be is something that's tasteful, right? And that is played in the right arena. So, YouTube's obviously the biggest search engine in the world. And so before we begin really any sort of communication effort is figuring out what the goals of the club or the association is, or the company. And then, adapting what we do to that environment. Obviously there's two hosting environments, YouTube or Vimeo, that we would recommend. Vimeo is obviously a more, and your audience may be familiar with that, but it's more private, right? You can certainly embed videos and use links, and just like you would on YouTube, but people aren't going to Vimeo to search for anything they may be interested in. So it's
higher quality videos, I've noticed too. It's generally not like the video blogs and things on there.
Yeah, it's it's for filmmakers, right? And I think, private club films, and that's what we try to do is figure out what environments work best for us. And we're certainly not, and it's a cautionary tale that we hear all the time as well about our marketing department just bought the newest iMac, and they went over to Best Buy and bought the new DSLR camera, and we have a tripod. So we're going to start doing this stuff ourselves, and it may not be as good as what you produce, but we'll still get it out there, and that's terrific, right? I'm not advocating or saying that any communication team within a communication department should stop that. I think it's all great, because what you're doing is creating a habit among your audience of understanding and being used to seeing videos from the club or, from them as a client or whatever it may be. But I think there calls a time, and there is a time for a more professional approach. And obviously that comes with, being able to fit in with a budget and, everything else. But we're not that kid just out of college with a Canon camera and an iMac. I mean, we're a professional organization that specializes in the club business, that knows the language, that understands moving around the tennis court and on the golf course, and where we get our aerial camera up in the air, we're not seen or heard, or people don't even know we're there, and the end result is something that people look back at and we hope just say wow, and create that experience that they haven't been able to deliver on yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask you a little bit about ROI. How do you determine ROI when it comes to video?
Views, right? I mean, with anything else, I think it's in any sort of department, you've got covers in the dining room, or you've got, rounds of golf played, and, all those other things to figure out if what you're trying to deliver is good. With us, it's views, and you can't hide it, right? It's just how many clicks you get, how many watches you see, and then, if that is valuable based on what you paid for it. It's if you could, and I try to tell this all the time, right? If you could have 5 minutes with a prospective member, what would you tell them? And I think oftentimes that's what we base our productions on, and figuring out the right way to do that. But ROI is basically, we had an event, and did we have enough attendance? If we didn't, we're trying to increase it for next year or next month, or the next wine dinner on Sunday, or whatever it may be. And if people watch it, the ultimate obvious follow up to that would be they're going to attend. So it's we don't hide our statistics. We share them regularly. It's really the only way that people can look at us and say, besides from the fact of it was really well done, was it worth it from a financial standpoint?
Right. Yeah. How often should clubs be making videos, Dom?
Oh man, every week, I think. Like I said, not, and I don't mean that.
I agree with that, actually. I agree with that.
It's not to say like us or anybody else from a professional standpoint. There are other vendors out there. I think what we do is premier and certainly better. But I mean, like I said, I would encourage take an iPhone, right? The iPhone 7 is. I was just looking at it the other day. I was watching a video about from a quality perspective of just the integrity of the image, right? And that's what we look at all the time. In addition to graphics and music and what sound bites should appear where, all that goes into the production. But if you're just looking at it from a standpoint of I need to get something out quick, right, and it's within my marketing mix, I mean that new iPhone is just incredible what it can do. And so take it, right, walk around, have your GM stand up and say, look, instead of the weekly email that we send out via text, here's the specials that we're doing this week. Here's what's happening. If you're in a construction update, right, a lot of these clubs these days are expanding and renovating.
Everybody's spending money. Everybody.
God, take that around, right? And obviously take in a certain set of background to say where the light is coming from, and can some when you walk through a doorway from a bright room to a dark room, all those sort of things come into it. But walk around and show people the progress and put a GoPro up and do a time lapse. I mean, all these different things from a communication standpoint, again, creates that habit within your audience that when you redesign the website and come out with something that is an anthem or a showpiece, and we, those different buzzwords that we use, that people go, wow, right? But they're accustomed to seeing communication and watching it instead of reading it, right? There's another statistic that 1 minute of video is equivalent to 1.8 million words of text.
Wow.
Right. In terms of that, the response and what the brain does, and, psychologically and, everything else. And, we just ask, we say, how are you communicating? Right. Are you sending emails? Do you have a brochure? Do you, all those different things in a perspective, from a prospective members, or even a current member standpoint? How are you communicating? And, an inward look about what your goals are and how you expect to compete in the marketplace, because someone else is going to be doing it, right? If you won't today, someone else is tomorrow, and you run that risk of falling behind. And
yep.
There's a lot that goes along with that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that we fall too far behind a lot of times in this industry. I'd like to see it be a little bit more cutting edge. I mean, I know it's never going to be bleeding edge, but I think we can get to the point where we're a little bit more cutting edge and trying out some new things. But well,
yeah, and I think another thing. Right. Another thing to think about too is that I try to make analogies, and my wife always says enough, right? Just move on. But no, I think it helps people understand how you stack up and where your priorities are and should be. Clubs these days, a lot of them have herb gardens and all those different things where they source certain ingredients to make it closer to home and more organic and all those different things, but they're not raising cattle, right? I think they source that, right? They try to find the best vendors that help them communicate their brand and allow for that meal or, that touch point at any of that direction to be better than it was yesterday. And I think what a lot of times in the communication aspect is that we'll just do it internally, right? And they almost say, like, I've had conversations with a couple clubs that just say, look, we're going to do it internally, and I know it's not as good as what you can do or what a professional can do, but we're just going to do it. And I would say, well, where else is that okay, or where else is that accepted,
right. Yeah.
Or where else would a member look at that and say, are we is what I'm paying? Are we the best? We should be, right? And I think in communications, I think that's blurred sometimes.
Yeah, it's an interesting point where you're dead on. I see the same thing. Owning a design firm and a marketing agency, that there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there, and when you put out a half-ass product, it's a half-ass view of your brand in the mind of the public. So I think I'm totally on board with that. Now, staying with this subject, if a manager or a marketing director is making their 2017 budget, how much would you recommend they allocate towards video?
10%. 10% of their marketing budget, right? And that goes all around, right? And you're trying to grow within it. But a good place is 10%. I mean, a lot of that is eaten up with, if you think about it this way, in changing what you're doing and how you're doing it. Printing mailings, sending out newsletters, postage. All those different things that just are hard costs that are eaten up by it. Video, once it's done, doesn't cost anything to watch it. Right. And I know there's an upfront cost and, all those other things that go into it. But from a standpoint of how much should I be spending or where should I be allocating my dollars? I mean, think about it that way, right? If you can do that, and that's the point, right? It's not all or nothing. We're not saying we're going to come in and completely change your culture overnight or spend a month at the club and give you 35 different videos. That doesn't do anybody any good, right? Mm-hmm. We want to give product and provide a service that is fresh and new and something that people can look at and not say that they've seen it before. I mean, some things require that, a tour of the golf course, let's meet, the tennis pro and hear about the junior clinic. I think some of those things are evergreen, right? But some of the things should be new and fresh every month. And so my recommendation would be, how you're communicating and what you're spending, think about allocating more of your budget to a video standpoint. And if you're sending and if you're communicating with text, you absolutely should augment it with video. I'm not saying text should go away, and I'm not saying pictures should go away, right? Because you obviously, it's video is passive, everything else is active. You can sit back and watch and be entertained and really not expend a lot of effort. But if you're asking someone to read something, do you think that information is going to be better retained if they have to physically try to do something within their busy schedule, or just hit play, sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and in 2.5 minutes understand what you're trying to tell them?
Yep, exactly. Now, there's lots of video companies out there. There's lots of video production firms that people can hire. Why is it important to hire a company that specializes in private clubs like you guys?
Understanding the messaging, right? Being able to get on site and understand, at least from a basis standpoint, of how clubs operate. I think if you're trying to, and you have a conversation with if somebody doesn't play golf, right, and they're not a golfer, and you try to talk about last week's tournament, be it at Torrey Pines, because that's the time we're talking about today, they just lost on them, right? They just kind of gloss over and don't understand what you're talking about. I think you need to have a vendor or someone that understands and can speak the language, that knows when you're doing testimonials about what questions to ask to get the right response. I think that there's a lot of that is, and I hear it time and time again, is, God, if we knew you guys existed 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, right? Or we did a video, right, and it was a couple years ago, and we tried to do an update because we have a new chef, and the company doesn't exist anymore, or is going to charge us a completely different fee again on a 100% basis to try and redo it. I think there's a lot of things that allow us to, with our client base and how often we work in the industry and archiving perspective, it's really easy to make a change. It's like open up a book, pulling out page 67 and putting in that new page again, stitching it together and binding it again. I think it's really easy to make changes. And so from that perspective, it's someone that isn't learning on the fly, right? That wasn't yesterday shooting a video for Mountain Dew and then now comes into the club wearing the wrong clothes. Too many people, right? We're really nimble. We travel with light gear, and I mean, all those things I think add to our advantage of understanding what the business is, but we know how to tell the story, right? We know what a prospective member or a current member wants to hear and needs to hear.
That's funny. I like the Mountain Dew analogy. I could just imagine some guys in like cargo shorts and
And it's so much of a perception, right? I think a lot of times perception's reality, and who are we looking to from a membership perspective, or retention, right? Who are we trying to retain and who are we trying to get? And it's not just about how many we can get, but getting the right member that'll fit in, that won't leave, and all those different things. I think that translates to the people that you bring in, right? You don't want, and a lot of times we interface with some really high profile members that have been on the board for a long time, or can speak the culture, and you're setting them up with someone that doesn't look the part, can't speak the part, and doesn't understand just how to walk around or even be at a club, right?
You can't pull the story out of a club, I don't think, if you don't know anything about it, right?
Right.
Yep, it's so important. So if folks want to work with you, Dom, you guys at Private Club Films, how do you generally engage with clubs?
Yeah. So, obviously we have a mailing list and, Facebook and Twitter profiles and, our website, privateclubfilms.com, all those sort of things. But we have an info at Private Club Films that comes directly to me. And I think that's another thing is that there's the people that we use, and we talked a little bit about, do we use who shoots it, right? I think it's all internally. I think it's everyone that understands the business and has been, if they didn't grow up in a club or didn't do the R&D to understand what the industry really needs from a high level perspective that I'm at, to teach others underneath me and find and source the top talent. But reach out to us online and, shoot us an email. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But a lot of our business too is just referral, right? I think the club industry is not unlike others, but it's so relationship driven, right? And a GM or a communication director can pick up the phone and bounce an idea across a colleague that may have gone through a renovation project or is trying to search for a video vendor or whatever it may be. We just try to do a good job for a reasonable price and try to create someone that we're going to do business with over time. It doesn't do me any good to come in or my team to come in, do one video for an astronomical price to completely blow the budget and then not go back for 3 years because they can't afford it. I think we try to figure out a way to send constant updates throughout the year, and there's some creative ways that we do that where we're not on site every month, but once or twice a year, and then fit within that budget and really provide a service that is of high quality that people look at and have an emotional response towards. And that probably most importantly is they send it to a friend, right? And I think that's the highest praise that we can get from a video standpoint or communication standpoint, is to send it to a guest, across town or, across the country, across the world, and say, God, look at what my club's doing. I think you can't put a price on that.
That's right. Now, do you work with clubs it sounds like you give them sort of a package that throughout the year you're creating some content with them. Is that how it works, or is it a one-time shot, or how do they get started?
I think it's both. I think, we we do a lot of work in the Florida market currently, just because, it's the highest concentration of clubs anywhere in the country. But, there are clubs in every state and every city. So we may be based in Golden, but we certainly aren't. That's not the only place we work. 85% or 90%, I should say, probably, of our business is outside the state. So we're constantly on the road. We're in a city, and it's just, it's as easy as creating a plan, figuring out how many assets we're going to do over the course of a year, and then chopping that up to a couple different times of the year, so that, if you live in a climate, like Denver or, the Northeast or, anywhere where there's a change of season, I think there's obvious advantages to shooting and filming in those different times a year, for the simple fact of it looks different. But take an example. It's January 30th and it's pretty cold in Chicago right now, but the club's still open, right? They're still doing dinners. They got their fire pits on and they want to entice people to come in. So it's a year-round thing. The easiest way to describe it is we just kind of chop it up into a couple trips, and from each one of those trips, we grab enough content to provide something for a quarter or even half a year, and sprinkle it out over time. It's another analogy. I'll go back to that. It's not a fire hose, right? We're not opening up the hose and turning it on full bore and throwing all the videos out at one time. It's a faucet drip. It's something that comes out every so often, that catches the member or their intended audience when they're most comfortable, and when they can digest, perhaps most importantly, digest the information.
Excellent. So once again, I want to invite people to check out privateclubfilms.com. That's Dom and his team's website. Dom, thank you so much for joining us on Private Club Radio today. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Hey, it was absolutely a pleasure for us too. And thanks.
Good stuff from Dom there. Before I leave you today, a couple quick announcements. I will be at the CMAA in booth number 1106 with my new partnership called Clubmark Partners. I invite you to check it out, see what it's all about. And finally, our webinar series continues in April with Norm Spitzig. The topic is knowing when and when not to accept that next club management position. If you've ever heard Norm Spitzig speak, he's been on the show a couple times. He is a dynamic presenter. So save the date. It's April 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Check out privateclubradio.com/webinar to learn a little bit more and see a video that Norm has shot for us to describe what this is all about. Until next week, enjoy it, and here's to your membership success.
Private Club Radio is brought to you by the Private Club Agency, the premier marketing and consulting firm dedicated to helping clubs increase and retain their membership. Visit privateclubagency.com to learn more.